Hi there, it's Jen, and I'm back with another process video for you. This time I'm using the October 2014 Felicity Jane Claire kit, and I'm going to be using this silly photo of me and a couple of my friends. I was lucky enough to go to big picture classes as putting on something they're calling Inspiration Live with Kelly Perky and Amy Tan, and they needed a live studio audience where they were filming at Persnickety Prints, which is about 10 or 15 minutes from my house, and so I was able to go and be a part of that live studio audience, which was super fun. And if you happen to be taking the class, be sure to watch out for me because they did a little videoing of me talking about one of the projects we were putting together, so that was fun. Anyway, but they also had this little booth where you could, use props and take photos and stuff, so that's what this picture is. So I'm just pulling out some of the stuff I might want to use, and I watched a video from the Soap House Mama, which she's also called the Purple Mailbox. I can't remember what she is on YouTube. I think Soap House Mama. But she used just some memo paper as layers underneath her photo, and I loved it. So I just got some thin pieces of paper out of a notebook, and that's what I'm laying my photo on. And then I got my favorite striped paper out of the kit to use as a photo mat. I pulled out that Love little enamel. It's not enamel. I don't know why I can't think of what that thing is called, but that little plastic white shape. And I put a little bit of paper behind it. I want to keep this layout really light and airy, and so I'm going to try to, like I said, keep it really light. I dumped out all of the sequins that came with the kit, and I think I'm just going to use them scattered like that across the layout. And now here I'm just using the cute little cork alphabet to figure out what I want my title to be. I went back and forth a lot on this layout trying to decide on the title. Here I thought I might ink the cork shapes with white. I don't end up doing that, but I think it looks nice. The cork, because I think the cork is laser cut or something because the edges are black, kind of like they were burned or something, and so the white actually looks pretty decent because you can see the black popping out. I'm just cutting a few more layers for underneath my photo. I thought I might use this bag as one of my layers that came in the kit. I actually end up taking it off later, but it could have worked probably. I kind of feel like with that bag I needed something to put inside of it, and I wasn't going to do hidden journaling or anything like that, so I just decided to save it. So I've pulled out a bunch of my thickers, and I'm just trying to decide which one will look good with the kit. I find this one that is one of my favorite fonts. I can't remember what it's called right now. It's something like Book something, or I can't remember. Anyway, it's just a simple classic font. And it's this tan color, which kind of matches with that craft, and so I think that I might use that. And here I am just fiddling with those layers. Just trying to get a perfectly imperfect look. It's so funny because sometimes I'll mess with things so much to make it look like it just fell on the page that way, and it's just funny the way that we do that sometimes. Where I could have just thrown it on the page and it would have looked the way it looked, but anyway, I fussed. I just put a couple of pieces of that ombre paper that came in the kit with, I kind of put a few little pieces tucked within the layers of those memo papers, and I like the way that looks. Like I said, I'm trying to keep it pretty light. And ultimately, that's why I ended up taking off that craft bag. It just felt a little heavy. It took me a while to decide what I wanted the title to be for this, and I decided, I think here I pull out the thickers that I actually end up using. They're a really light aqua color, and they're a foam thicker, which I really prefer foam thickers. They actually stick. With all of the other ones, I do end up using extra adhesive, and that's fine, but I like the foam ones because they stick the first time. So I'm arranging the cork letters on this piece of wax paper, and I know that they're not adhesive, but I just wanted to place them on the wax paper so I could move them around, because it's kind of fiddly to play with them. So I'm kind of thinking that my title is "We Think We're Funny," because we totally did. Uh, I'm the one on the right who is singing my little heart out with that fake microphone. I was just being silly. But I really love being with people where I can truly be myself. Sometimes I feel self-conscious around certain people, and so it's just nice to have those kind of friends that you just can be yourself and laugh and do whatever, and they don't judge you and they think you're funny, which that's always helpful when somebody thinks you're funny, because I'm not that funny, but when people laugh at my jokes, then it makes me happy. So I pulled out this chevron paper, and I'm going to just use it for a border on the top and the bottom. I'm going to keep most of the layout pretty light still, but I wanted something to anchor it with so I used that teal paper. And I just cut a little strip of that ombre paper to put at the top as well. And it kind of balances out the pink shirt in the photo. I'm just looking at the cut aparts to see what I might want to use. This layout, it took me a long time for some reason, and I actually came back to it the next day. So this is the first day, and you'll probably be able to tell when it's a new day. But I cut out these tickets thinking I would just slide them in as a layer, but in the end they don't end up working. But I'll keep them around for a while, and you'll see me fiddle with them, because that seems to be what this layout was all about, moving the same things around the layout in all the different places and then eventually taking them off. But I'm just going to put the cork letters away. I don't want to lose any of them. And I think I probably did lose a couple on the floor when I did that, but it's okay. I'm sorry if my voice seems a little scratchy. It's kind of late at night and I'm tired. Oh, I pull out the doily and I'm going to put it behind the photo, just as an added detail. I thought I might use both pieces of it, but I just end up using the one. The stamp set might be my favorite thing from this kit, and so I was really excited to use it. And I'm just using this little banner, and I pulled out my Distress ink in Tattered Rose, and it matches the color, the light pink color in this kit, perfectly. So I stamped the banner with that, and then I'm going to stamp the little words that say, I think it says let's see, something to celebrate. There you go. In, let's see. Oh, let me, really quick. I didn't stamp it very well. I didn't ink it very well, and so what I was doing there was just, I took my embossing tool, or yeah, I think that's what it's called. Just has a little round ball on the tip of the tool, and I dipped it in my ink pad and just kind of filled in those little spots that didn't quite get inked all the way, if that makes any sense. And I used my cashmere ink from Close to My Heart, and I like that ink. It's kind of a nice craft color. So I'm just adhering my layers down now, at least the top and the bottom. It'll take me a minute before I actually adhere the center. Like I said, I did a lot of fiddling. So here I am just trying to work in a couple more layers, and then I take a look at the cut apart sheet to see if I want to include anything, but as I said, I want to keep it pretty light, and they were pretty dark, so I decided not to. I do, however, cut the little strip on the bottom of that paper off, and I'm going to use it just to the side of my main cluster. And it's just that light pink Aztec-y kind of print. And then here is the next day. And so I've come back and I've got fresh eyes. I decide that I'm going to mix a little bit of that Tattered Rose Distress ink with some modeling paste to make a really light pink modeling paste. And then I'm going to use that diagonal stripe stencil from Lawn Fawn. to put a little bit of texture behind the photo. So I find that when I want to keep a page really light and airy, it can get flat if you don't do some things to texture. So one of the things I did to add texture to the page was layering up those memo papers. So they're still white, but they give a little bit of texture to the page. And then I'm going to do this light pink texture paste in the background. And all you have, I'm working on my nonstick craft mat from Close to My Heart, and I'm just putting a little bit of ink on the mat and then mixing it in with the paste. And then I'm doing a perfectly imperfect job at putting on the embossing paste because I don't want a hard line on the edge, so you can see it's kind of got a jagged line, which is what I wanted. And I'm just going to do some on the other side as well. And I obviously made way too much. I didn't need that much embossing paste. And then it's important with embossing paste that you clean off your stencil and your tools pretty quickly because it will dry, and it's harder to get off when it's dry. So I'm just wiping it quickly before it dries. And that craft mat wipes up so easily. I love it. So the modeling paste dries fairly quickly, but I'm blowing on it, and I don't know why, because that really does nothing. But while I was waiting, I took my layers over the sewing machine, and I just stitched a bunch back and forth on the top of it for some texture. Again, another thing that I was doing to add in texture without adding in more color, really. So, and I'm just securing the backs with some washi tape. So now I think I'm about ready. That, like I said, that dries pretty quickly, so I'm ready to put my layers back on. And I'm just going to tuck and fiddle the stuff. So I go back to my stamp set to see if there's anything else I want to add, and I decide to stamp the circle that says fun in it. Obviously that goes well with the photo. I'm just going to stamp that in the same cashmere ink I used before, just on white cardstock, and then I don't have the right size punch for this. It probably fits a 1 inch punch, but I just had a 1 1/4 inch punch, which I've been meaning to get a 1 inch punch, so I will do that soon. And P.S. say 1 inch punch 10 times fast. That is hard. Anyway, so I'm just going to leave that white edge around it because I think it looks fine. So I'm going to pop that up on some of that thin 3D foam tape that I love so much. And I'm trying to work the tickets back in again. And here I decide that I need to adhere some stuff down because it's reaching that critical point. And I just decide to use my tiny attacher to staple that Celebrate little banner to the side of my layers. And then I'm just adhering everything else down as well. After a while, it just gets annoying to have to deal with the papers moving around everywhere. I'm sure a lot of you agree. Okay, so here I am trying to decide what it needs. It obviously needs more than what it's got, but I'm not quite sure what that is yet. So then I take apart the cut apart sheet that comes in the kit. It's 2 sheets, but they're stitched together, and they're stitched with a copper thread, and so that's perfect for just cutting off and sticking in as one of my layers. And it's got that nice stitch line, so that it adds a little detail. So I added that to the left of my photo. And then I'm thinking about adding one of those circles, but I end up not doing that. So now I'm going to decide where I want to put my title, and I try it probably everywhere that I possibly could. And I end up putting it on the bottom left, because I'm going to scatter all of that stuff from the top left to the bottom right, and so there's going to be a space right there, and it just seems like a logical place to put it. I don't know. I was kind of sick after a while of moving it around so many different places. It might have fit better somewhere else, but this is where it ended up, and I think it turned out fine. So now I'm just using my Scotch Quick Dry adhesive to glue down the rest of the title. And again, it's "We Think We're Funny." And I'm just gluing each one of those cork shapes down. And one of the things I like about those little cork shapes, or the cork letters, is that it comes with a lot of punctuation, so that's nice. I hate it when there's like a stamp set that's an alphabet, or stickers that don't come with apostrophes or periods and stuff like that, so that was nice. And just gluing them down. I'm down in the basement, so you can see my sweater, and it's cold. It's starting to get really cold here. And I'm sorry, because my head makes an appearance many a time, and my hair's out of control. And so, with the title, I talked about this in a previous video, but I really like it when I can butt things up against each other or nestle things in. And so that F where it comes up on the word funny was a perfect place for me to start putting the rest of my letters, and that's why I worked from the bottom up, because I wanted to do the biggest word first and then fit everything else around it. So now I'm trying to decide if I want to use one of these tags, and I move it around a few different places, but it just doesn't quite feel right. I don't like the way the craft looked right there either. It wasn't balanced to me. Visual weight is something that I really factor in heavily when I'm making pages. It's important to me to have a good balance. So, because I'm still unsure of what else I want to add, I know I'm going to do the feathers and the sequins kind of falling from the top, so I just start gluing stuff down. Or at least I glued the feather down. Here I decide to add just a little bit more texture. I would stamp they're kind of like confetti triangles on the stamp set that came in the kit. And I just stamped them above and below that main photo mat and photo. And I stamped them off of like over several layers at once. And then I move on to a little bit of the journaling. And what I just wrote right there is, "We think we're funny, and we so are," or something like that. And then I'm using glossy accents, I think, to glue down all of the sequins. I did use Scotch Quick Dry adhesive before, but it doesn't hold it quite as nicely as the glossy accents. And I actually want to get some matte medium from Ranger, or multimedia matte or something like that. It's kind of like glossy accents, but it dries matte, so you can't even see it when it's dry. It's really awesome. I've tried it before, I just don't have any, so I've been meaning to get a little bottle of that. My local Joann's has like the big tubs that are meant for more for mixed media projects and stuff, that it doesn't come in a little squeezy bottle, but I found some on Amazon in the little squeezy bottles, and so I think I'll just buy one from there or something. So just gluing down the sequins, and I'm kind of just gluing them where they fell, again, so I can get that natural look. I don't want it to look too contrived. And then I held up the page to make sure everything got glued down. And I did end up adding a few sequins to the right side too, so it looked like it kind of trailed all the way down. And then I'm just going to write the rest of my journaling. And I'm just talking about how grateful I am to have friends who really allow me to be myself. And, the last thing I'm going to do is, this is another thing that I saw Ashley Oliver do. She's the Soap House Mama. she just added a little bit of gray watercolor around some of her layers, and it kind of gives it a faux shadow, and it just adds more dimension to it. So I thought I would try it, and I kind of like the way it turned out. I think it might be a little dark, or I just don't know how to watercolor very well, but I just added some around some of the layers, and then up at the top a little bit too, and then I just flicked some splatters to go along with my sequence there. And that is going to complete the layout. I hope you enjoyed watching this, and I've been having so much fun making them, and I hope I'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.